From Moment to Movement with Tamara Banks has been made possible through the generous support of the Anchor Point Foundation, helping nonprofit organizations and leaders creatively solve problems in their communities around the world.
Racism is steeped into the very core of this country. And now, in 2020, Black voices are tired of being ignored, muffled, and killed. Millions of Americans are demonstrating, protesting to make their voices heard, especially Black Americans. A movement has to arise from the ashes of the moment. From Moment to Movement is a series of one-on-one truth-telling conversations with the Black community, aimed at working towards addressing police brutality and changing systemic racism.
Our guest today is musical artist Erica Brown. She is a growing socially conscious individual. Of course, we know her music, and now, as I said, she is steeped into the social justice space. Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Hey, listen, as I said, many folks in the Denver area, throughout Colorado and parts of the U.S. know you and your music, but you're kind of stepping into a different space, as I said earlier. Tell me about the work that you're doing as it relates to social justice, particularly at this moment in time.
It's been really quite a journey, and it was one that I wasn't prepared for as much response as I've received. And by and large, the response has been amazing. Like everyone else, I've had to watch, listen, and feel all the anger, pain, and frustration that Black people are going through at this particular moment in time. So with that happening, I realized that, being a musician, it can't just always be about what feels good. A lot of what's going on right now is uncomfortable, it's painful, it's emotionally painful for all of us in one fashion or another. But that doesn't give me the license to be able to sit on the sidelines and stay in my safe little bubble and go, oh, gee, it's all right. It'll be all right. Let someone else do it. I can't do that anymore. So I'm using my voice and the platform that I have to speak up and speak out.
So share with us what are some of those things that you're doing to speak up and show out.
And that's what I say my mother would use. Girl, you showing out. I have been using primarily actually Facebook to talk about the different things that I think are happening right now and the things that I think are not happening right now, and where everyone can be of more use in bringing justice, equality, and fairness to all of us. We cannot all just sit around and go, oh, it's okay, it'll be all right. As soon as this little tempest in a teapot is over, we'll go back to the way we used to be. We will never, ever go back to the way we used to be. And the amazing thing about that is social media and media in general, and how we have had a chance for things to happen in almost in real time. I've been posting a lot on Facebook about things that have been bothering me, commenting with others and joining with others for different causes for what feels like social justice to me. I know what feels like social justice to me does not feel like social justice to everyone else, but I'm doing the best I can.
So what are those things that we that are social justice? Like, what does that actually look like?
What it looks like to me is fairness and compassion in areas of law enforcement, in areas of housing, education, equal opportunities, all sorts of things. I've had my eyes open personally to a lot of history that I was not as aware of as I should have been. Example, redlining in Denver's housing market and how far back that went, and how in certain ways that is still being applied today. You know, for lack of a better way to say it, people can't always live where they want to live. So that is something that has been important to me to spotlight. Um, with everything that we've had going on with George Floyd and Elijah McClain and Breonna Taylor and so many others, the need for actual fairness, compassion, and equality in our justice system has been paramount. Uh, I have been also commenting on our music scene and system. And that is something, of course, that since I've been in the music game, as my mother would say, since heck was a puppy. Uh, it's been, I know, it's been very, very close to my heart. I feel like people who are my genre is blues. I am a blues woman. It is what I do. So for me, that hits really close to home because the blues came out of the initial struggle when African Americans hit these shores, and they were Africans then. They were not African Americans yet. And how slavery affected them and the music that rose up as a response to that. So for me, fairness and equality in those arenas are extremely important. And I'm using the voice that I have to amplify the issues that are out there and to issue a call to action to people. When you see something wrong, say something.
So, as we know, in say, you said your genre, blues really tells a story. We know that Marvin Gaye asked what's going on during the Vietnam War and civil rights era. And recently, in the past couple of months, I've interviewed 2 or 3 or 4 rappers and trappers who had written music around COVID-19 and wear a mask and wash your hands and all of that. Can you talk about any of the music that is arising and being created now in this moment around police brutality, systemic racism, things that we have known for centuries in our community, but the rest of the country is just now awakening and being woke?
Yeah. I have been watching as particularly young people have been musically and artistically crying out and saying, things are not right. We need to find a better way to move forward. And not just a better way to move forward for Black America, but a better way to move forward for all Americans. And their voices are just like rising up. It's just this incredibly mighty force. And I am so excited to see it because for me, of course, and for, other blues artists that have been in on the scene for a long time, you know, at some point we're going to kind of, fade into the background because of our age, if nothing else. But young people are coming forward and saying, we need health care. We need adequate health care for all Americans. We need equality. Things are not right. We should not be being murdered in the streets for who we are and what our skin color is. They're angry, they're mobilizing, and they're speaking out. And it is just an incredibly fantastic thing to see. And Denver artists are doing it too. Denver artists like Sue Charles and Jeff Campbell, so many that are tired of what they see as the status quo and want things to be different.
A lot of us, if I could say every person probably, but I won't speak for everyone, but I would say most of us are impacted with the pandemic within a pandemic. Like I said, the race relations, inequality, and social injustice, and police brutality, so on and so forth, within this moment of the COVID-19 pandemic. And some people are shutting down, they can't handle it. But I find some artists are being moved to be creative. Has this particular moment in time and space given you some opportunity to be creative, and have you come up with maybe lyrics or music and I don't know if I want to use the word inspire, that this time has inspired you, but somewhat motivated you to write and think about music in a different way, that you're, producing music in a different way?
Yes, absolutely. What has been happening, I have a group called the Cast Iron Queens. Hi, ladies. And we have been coming together. We call ourselves a vibrant expression of American music. We are not necessarily pigeonholing ourselves to any one genre at this point in time, because there is so much to be talked about and sung about and experienced out there. I have a song that I'm currently actually writing called If Never Again Was the Last Time, It'd Be Too Soon for Me. And I know, right? And that kind of encapsulates so many things that are going on right now. I mean, like, you can literally pick a thing, whether it's COVID-19 or whether it's racial injustice and inequality, whether it's police brutality. If never again was the last time for all of this, I think everybody would be so much better for it. And it's making artists in particular, I think, so much more fruitful in their output and how they're thinking about how they want to affect how their art goes out there and what it is that they're trying to say and the message that they're trying to get across. And we're trying to do the same thing. So there's thoughts going around in my head all the time. It's almost like my pencil can't keep up with my mind.
How are you feeling right now? What are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel really good, because I've always been the person, like on my social media pages, I'd always said, I'm going to be the person who never does anything other than the music. This is going to be a place for people to get away and come somewhere and feel good for a few minutes and then go back out into the world and go back out into their everyday lives. And what I realized is that that's not the case. And it can no longer be the case. I still have my page where I do most of my social activism, and I have a music page. And of course, Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff. But I couldn't stay the way I was. The events going on in the world right now demand a response from every one of us, because, and especially I personally feel my generation, because what we do now will help shape the world that we leave for the young people who are coming behind us. And that is of paramount importance. I have grandchildren. I have great grandchildren.
No.
And I am massively concerned about what the world is going to be like for them. And I want them to be able to look back and say and see that I said something and that I stood for something and that I'm calling for other people to stand for something. Let's all band together, y'all. We can make the world a better place if we can just figure out how to come together in love and in unity. The disharmony has absolutely got to stop. And the growing chorus of voices that are saying that, and because it can be amplified by media, is starting to turn into a mushroom cloud, and I'm loving it. I'm just loving it.
Wow. Erica Brown, the fabulous musical artist, vocalist, musician, lyricist, poet, social activist now. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be here.
And keep up the great work with your beautiful music. We thank you. Stay safe out there. Stay safe. And for all of you joining us, we appreciate your watching. And you can find out more about this show and this program and more episodes on pbs12.org. I'm Tamara Banks. We'll see you next time.
From Moment to Movement with Tamara Banks has been made possible through the generous support of the Anchor Point Foundation, helping nonprofit organizations and leaders creatively solve problems in their communities around the world.